Well, we're here today with our big annual restoration event called Prairie Pandemonium. And the name of it is really very appropriate because we're working in the prairie, and what we're trying to do is bring back those original historic prairie plants that have disappeared over time. Grazing pressure, invasive species, a whole host of different things have contributed to the disappearance of a lot of the plants that are very important to its ecology.
Just go back and forth across until you get down to there.
Okay.
All right.
So whenever you find a hole, you let me know and I'll fill it in the map.
You got it.
Give it to them so our volunteers will come out here and plant.
You got it. We've segregated ourselves into 4 separate sections, each with 750 plants and approximately 20 to 25 volunteers. The process is to take the plants, okay, that have already been incubated and nursed in these 1-gallon pots and to spread them out evenly within each section. Then we put the prairie plant into the ground, pack the dirt around it, give it a big smile, okay, and move on to the next hole.
What you see around us here is the pandemonium part of it. We're trying to plant about 3,000 prairie plants in these 1-gallon containers before lunchtime. So it's taken almost a full year for us to grow this amount of plant material, and then in a very short time window it all gets planted in one day, Prairie Pandemonium.
Somewhere around 110 people are here right now, and so we're doing really, really great because it rained in the last couple of days. We didn't have to water with all this, and so we've been able to get, we were hoping to get 3,000 plants. We're already at 3,500 plants planted already. So it's a great morning. So this is what we call an IBC. They hold food product like some kind of corn oil, but huge quantities of it, and actually after they're used, we get companies around here to donate them to us, and then we hold water in them. So in the times when we had droughts or during the summer when we're planting out here, we fill them up with water, and then we go out and put about a gallon of water in every hole before we put the plant in there. Because we had rain this week and actually had a whole bunch of it last night, the holes are very, very wet already, so we didn't have to have people carrying, 2 or 3 gallons. That's a lot of weight for people, and you have to go to every hole to carry it, so we were lucky. And that's part of the reason we're doing so well on planting today is we didn't have to carry all that water to every hole.
We're trying to preserve a part of Texas and Pasadena's ecological heritage. This is like a living museum. Pasadena once was almost completely grasslands, or these coastal tallgrass prairies that you see around us. But interestingly, when we brought cattle in and put them in permanent fenced pastures, those cows repeatedly like to eat the same type of grass over and over. And cowboys call those grasses ice cream plants because they taste real sweet to the cows, and that's why they like to eat them, is because they taste better. But because of that intensive ongoing grazing pressure, the grasses ultimately are grazed out of existence, and over time they disappear. So that really is what restoration ecology is bringing back the natives. We're trying to bring back those grasses that used to be the main players in the prairie ecology, in addition to a whole host of wildflowers that have also disappeared.
We're putting in Big Blue, Little Blue, which we kind of call miscellaneous. We're putting in forbs.
Gamma grass, yellow Indian grass, and switchgrass. And the other 2 things we're planting, we have things called forbs, and they are prairie plants, except they're the ones that flower.
And also a list of wildflowers that enhances the diversity of the prairie plant community. Armand Bayou Nature Center manages a native plant nursery. We have a greenhouse, we have a nursery area, so we also have a really dedicated team of volunteers that comes out every Friday. And that Friday volunteer team is called Prairie Friday. So those folks collect seeds, they dig up grasses from areas that are slated for development, neighborhood, strip center, area that's going to be disturbed. So they're collected from the local area. It takes, 6 months or so for those plants to reach the beautiful state that you see in these pots where they're ready to go back in the ground. The other reason that it's important and why we're doing it is that these types of areas provide important ecosystem services to the community.
The good thing about prairie plants, the roots are 6 feet long. So the good thing about that is when it rains, the water gets on the dirt and then it gets absorbed into the plants and it actually gets soaked into the ground. So it helps dampen flooding. Plants convert the bad stuff into good things. cleans up the water, so when it does get into either the aquifers or gets run off into the ditches, into the bayous, it gets cleaned up, and so it's better for the bay, better for the seafood we eat, the shrimp and the fish and the crabs.
It's also a great place for recreation. This is one of the few publicly accessible prairies in Texas. We have a prairie hiking trail so you can bring the family out. So a whole long list of benefits as to why it's important and why we're doing what we're doing.